Hi, everyone. So welcome to our next panel discussion about optimizing data for marketing with AI. You get me twice, back to back. So today I have the pleasure of chatting with Jack Dow, founder and CEO of Grapevine Travel, a company dedicated to empowering travel management companies to boost ancillary attachment rates and capture in-destination spend. I also have Arman Bimatov, co-founder of TravelWits, an AI-powered one-stop search and booking tool for travel agencies and advisors. And lastly, but certainly not the least, I'm pleased to have Jon Pickles with us. He's the Chief Revenue Officer of InspireTec, a company that provides integrated technology solutions for travel companies, combining CRM, booking, and revenue management systems. So thanks to you all for participating in today's discussion. Let's jump right in because we have only 20 minutes. So by now we all know that data-driven decision-making is the key to marketing success. To kick off our conversation, I wanted to pose the question, how is AI transforming the landscape of data optimization in marketing today? And what do you see as the most significant change or benefit it has introduced? I wanted to start with Jon on this question because I know you have a lot of experience in data with and in CRM and with putting the customer first.
Sure. Thanks, Catherine. I think the key with it is really the ability to analyze a huge amount of data and present results back to you. And in marketing specifically, obviously making sure that messaging is really personalized so that you can, speak to your customers on a one-to-one basis, or at least feel like one-to-one basis. But I think the bigger challenge around that is obviously getting your data in one place so you can then start to analyze it or run AI against it. And I think that's always going to be the biggest issue. But there are ways of doing that, as we'll no doubt come on to later on in this conversation.
Right, exactly. Jack or Arman, do you have anything to add there?
So I think one thing that I want to add is that the prevalence of the AI solutions, and I mean, the most obvious one could be, ChatGPT, for example. The prevalence of technologies like this that are coming out and are more accessible and available to everyone means decreased barriers to entry, right? So, and that elevates, I think, in the end, through competition and through more resources in the industry, it elevates the end customer experience. At least that's my hope.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd say that for me, I suppose, primarily the opportunity at the moment rather than necessarily being here today. I think there's huge scope for what can happen. But as Jon mentioned, the data needs to be in the right shape for it to be consumable and actionable.
So let's explore that because I know it's been mentioned in some of the sessions yesterday, and it's certainly a well-known challenge in the travel industry, is that when it comes to data, companies still operate in silos or there's data fragmentation. And we know personalization is so important when it comes to marketing to increase engagement and drive conversions. So my question is, what steps can companies take to ensure their data points are producing personalized preferences to enhance experiences? Jack, I want to go to you for that question because I know with Grapevine, your platform specializes in personalized and bookable recommendations.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. I think there's, first of all, companies need to endeavor to get their data in good shape so that they can, deliver these services. It's easier said than done. Companies typically run with multiple sort of technologies and sort of therefore, content types and data sources. And so not just on the company level, but on the technology level as well, encouraging their technology suppliers to talk to one another, to create kind of, microservice sort of, compatibility and be open to working with each other. That's, for me, is a real opportunity in terms of, enhancing people being great at their niche and being able to sort of expand. I think travel has lived under the sort of umbrella of massive monolith companies that have been around for decades that haven't been open to startups or working with other people. So creating pushing for an ecosystem where there's collaboration and working together, I think, is one of the fundamental sort of cornerstones for these technologies to really really excel.
Okay, I love that. I love how you say collaboration, and I want to segue because now that we obviously know personalization is key, but I want to explore how to seamlessly integrate the value expertise of travel agents and the capabilities of AI. So Arman, I want to go to you for this question because I know you have a lot of experience with travel agencies and travel agents. So how do you effectively integrate the rich knowledge of travel agents and AI?
Right. Yeah. So I think the first thing is that you need a centralized place for knowledge. I think that's a prerequisite because right now I think a lot of it lives in like sticky notes that end up in garbage cans or hopefully recycling cans, and so that's step one is centralizing all the knowledge, because for example your Africa specialist might retire next week, and then what do you do? So a lot of that needs to be scaled. The knowledge needs to live somewhere else, not in everyone's heads. And then once that is in there, now you can start connecting that to booking platforms like, for example, like ours, and to start augmenting whatever the content you have, maybe from GDS and things like that, with that extra layer of knowledge that comes from your advisors. And now you have something really great. But I think the challenge here is a lot of times that knowledge lives in sticky notes rather than somewhere else. It's not for the lack of trying. It's because there's not necessarily always a direct output, direct result from that. Right now, very often, because the knowledge is it's so very early, and a lot of booking platforms are not really incorporating that. There's not a lot of kind of instant direct benefit to the advisors.
Right.
So it's often kind of a secondary thought.
So I want to explore that a little bit more. So how do you work with agents on that when they're not seeing the direct benefit?
Yeah. So the direct benefit should be, whenever your knowledge is updated, it's instantly available on the booking platform, right? So for example, you're booking Paris, and you have knowledge about certain properties that are really great and should be booked whenever possible. And maybe also they provide extra commissions, and that's where like the preferred partner marketing comes into play as well. Now you want to be able to make these updates instantly to the platform, incorporate that knowledge so that you see the results right away as soon as you refresh the page. And now whenever you search for Paris, that preferred property comes on top with special notes from other advisors or from yourself. And now you see it, and now it encourages you to keep doing that.
Right. Jack, do you have anything to add here? Because I know with Grapevine, you initially started it as a B2C platform. So you have experience with leisure travel and how nuanced it can be. So do you have any thoughts about combining human interactions and AI?
I suppose my main thought on it is actually it's as much of a product challenge as anything else. It's kind of how can you create that data repository that sort of agents can store at their fingertips so that knowledge is gathered. In consumer travel, there's the 1-9-90 rule of user-generated content. It says that 1% of people create the content, 9% of people actually engage, and 90% of people do nothing. And so, even whether that's a traveler or an agent, people are natural content. There'll be some agents who are the best people at taking notes, but it's easy to do. There'll be some that just live with everything in their head. They'll communicate with their, people via WhatsApp, and it's going to be very difficult to get them to do things. So it's as much of a product challenge in terms of creating an interface that they can easily upload information that can then be gathered and used, leveraged by AI. But it's as much product as it is it's an actual AI. It's a way of gathering the data that can then be used.
Mm-hmm. If I can jump in, if that's okay.
That's fine, yeah.
So I've been rolling out CRM globally for many, many years. And whenever we go and see a new company, no matter what the size, there are so many private silos of data amongst the agents. And one of the biggest challenges is obviously getting them to use the system, and knowledge can be deemed as power. So releasing that is quite challenging. So you have to get the buy-in and get the agents to realize the potential. And one of the ways of doing that is, a lot of them will use, let's say, Outlook or Gmail, and most of their comms is through there. If that person is sick or leaves the company, as I think Arman said before, then you're losing that knowledge. So putting in a system which has all the comms in it, a CRM, or with the ability to link to WhatsApp and your Outlook and everything else, so at least everything is going into the one system, and then you can utilize that data. So I think the number one challenge, as well as getting the data all in one place, is to get people to migrate to something where they can see the value of it. And you can do that by feeding back information that's helpful to them, and then they might see that there's a massive value in doing that. And setting up initiatives that, good data that they put in is usable data, and give them rewards based on the data input as well. And we did a number of initiatives like that across the Travel Corporation. As you know, Catherine, we put in Salesforce across the piece there. And in Australia, in their call center, for example, all the agents were also given additional benefits by putting in good data. So I think you've got to instill that in everybody and make sure that is, ground zero, and then work out from there. It's very easy for people to lapse back into Outlook and Gmail. I'd even go as far as to say take those away and use the system to do all the communications, but you can't always do that. But that's the number one challenge.
That's great.
I think
Thanks,
adding to that, I think there's where there's a huge opportunity with AI is there are lots of conversations going on with data that can now be gathered in those conversations, translated into text. There's a lot of email exchanges that have gone on for years that actually can be sort of gathered from the servers. There's a privacy element there, but in terms of the potential, all of these conversations that happen, what about this place? That's great. What about that? At the moment, we capture the booking data. What we're not capturing is the other bits of conversation that are happening there. And over time, that can create a conversational agent that sort of replicates what the value that someone's had. So there's a huge amount of information out there that's just not been captured at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to add one last thing. I think going back, so to summarize everything that's been said, you got to make it easy, right? And the second is, I think you need to have them see value right away. It cannot be like, knowledge for rainy day type of thing when someone leaves, because it's kind of too abstract. They need to see value immediately, and that's where I was talking about the incorporating these things right into your in your tool set. For example, a booking platform. Right.
So I want to acknowledge that although many marketers and companies may see the value in optimizing data and leveraging the benefits of AI for marketing, the initial cost of implementing AI systems or programs can be a barrier for some organizations. Obtaining, organizing, and maintaining relevant data can be challenging, especially for small businesses with limited resources. So what recommendations or suggestions do you have for companies who are in this type of situation? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I don't mind jumping in. So I think there are lots of free tools out there that you can use, and I think just sort of chipping away and coming up with, you're not going to sort of change overnight. So start utilizing the tools. I mean, agents will use Google and do some research on there, for example. If you go to Bing, you're getting chat and sort of GPT built in now, and they're starting to do that with their Copilot apps in Microsoft. But I think if you start to utilize that, you soon see the benefits of it. You always need to curate what it tells you to just make sure you're not sort of just same with the web. You're not just repeating what you read. You have to make a decision about it. But I think there are lots of things out there, including your existing marketing tools. You'll see AI being rolled out within those tools as well, just gently, but it's in there. Companies like HubSpot and Salesforce and that, they are adding value in little pieces. So it might be, what should you do next? These records need to be followed up. These bookings have been outstanding for a long time, or these quotes, you need to follow them up. It's just a little gentle sort of assistance there, which we've seen before, but not really driven by AI, which gives you a lot more rich feedback. And I think one of the things that I picked up from somebody who was on LinkedIn the other day is you can create your own GPT. And what that means, you go to ChatGPT and you sign up for an account. It costs $20 a month, right? It's really, really low cost. And you can literally tell it about your business, and it remembers that. And next time you ask a question, you don't have to contextualize the question. So if I tell it about InspireTec and what we do, and I say, write me an article about CRM, for example, it brings in all that knowledge that it's learned from me uploading details about our business. So it also incorporates the reservation platform, the fact that we've got a good content manager in there and all that sort of stuff. So it's really clever. You can train it and then it will keep learning. And that's just a very low cost solution. You can share that with your peers as well. So that would be a good entry point, I think. Tell it a bit about your business, what you do, what your primary destinations are that you travel to, and then start building that out. And I think that's a really nice way in. But I have to say, most of the tools out there, especially for marketing, have started to add features in that will assist and make that easier.
Well, that's a great suggestion. Jack and Arman?
I was just going to sort of echo that sentiment. And I think the key is for people to work out what they're looking to achieve first, rather than start with AI. I think it's easy to go, AI, go for it. It's got to be AI. It's like, well, what are you trying to achieve with AI? And then look at the tools that are out there to help you achieve that. Is it increased conversion? Is it sort of, customer stickiness? Is it, X, Y, Z? And actually sort of understand which tools are out there and which are in a good position to optimize for AI. I don't think businesses need to reinvent the wheel or build it all themselves. I think there's tooling out there that sort of, people who are focused on those niches can be really good at, and you can then sort of tap into that. And they have to be viable business. They have to have right pricing models to be viable businesses. So I think, you can fall into the trap of having to build everything yourself. Over time, AI might let you sort of do that more easily, but sort of using experts who can do that for you, I think, is critical.
And I would add also, I can agree with, even though we're a technology company, I agree with Jack that you don't need to start with AI, right? You can start with other things. You can start with spreadsheets. You can start with low cost experiments and talking to your customers just to find out again, obviously you need to know your own goals, but also talk to your customers, interview them, focus groups, so that you understand them a little bit better. And that will inform whatever you do with your technology, whether it's spreadsheets, ChatGPT, or other type of AI like ours. And low cost experiments is another one. I think it's really key. If you're tweaking your marketing, you can do it pretty easily without involving AI or any sophisticated technology. So I think try to find ways to experiment.
I love that. And it certainly makes it more approachable and I guess doable for people as they step into AI, because it can be so overwhelming with the vast amount of tools or platforms that are available. I wanted to give you all the platform as we end our session in 30 seconds or less. What is the main message that you would like the audience to take away? Jon, why don't you go first?
Don't panic, unless you're a copywriter. No, I think start dipping your toe into the water, but don't think you have to dive in and change everything. It won't change overnight, but just think of really good ways in which you can share your knowledge across your peers. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, from my viewpoint, one thing that I wanted to make sure that everyone is thinking about is buyer intent. Marketing is most effective, I think, when buyer intent is the strongest. And that's, of course, we're biased because we're a booking platform, and buyer intent is usually strongest during a booking. But the other thing is also, because of that, there's limitations to machine learning and technologies like ChatGPT. So it's really important to basically invest into search optimization and algorithms that produce real-time results right now, not an hour later, a week later, or something like that.
Okay. And Jack?
So for me, it's be clear about what you want the outcome to be that you're looking for as a business. I think then get your data in shape. This isn't going to be this is a multi sort of year and decade project but everyone, really having your data in shape is key to all of this. And then the third, sort of repeating what I said earlier on, is work with and pressure your technology suppliers and sort of partners to be open to innovation and partnerships and collaboration.
Okay, perfect. Well, fortunately, that ends our session for today. It was a quick 20 minutes. Thanks, everyone. That wraps our marketing track sessions for the day. Stay tuned for some great sessions on leadership coming next. Thanks, Jon, Jack, and Arman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.